was the smell of wine. At that moment, I felt the man grabbing me somewhat unsteadily, and the woman walking towards me in a very slow and meticulous way. But at the same time, these people knew what they were doing. They had killed before, and had every intention of doing it again. But this time, they made a mistake. They were completely drunk. I decided to try and stay calm and loosen my body, looking for an opportunity to attack. When the woman was almost at my side, I managed to kick her in the knee. This caused the man to be distracted for a moment, which I took advantage of to get away from him and hit him. As soon as I regained control of the situation, I ran away, without looking back, with my heart beating so hard that I felt it would leave my body. I ran and ran, not knowing where I was going. I was lost in the darkness of the night. I heard their voices behind me, chasing. No matter how much alcohol they had, they were still very dangerous indeed. And if they caught me, they would not forgive me for running away. This was all a nightmare that refused to end. I saw lights in the distance. I ran towards the direction they were coming from, and then I identified the lights better. I realized that I was on the road, that those lights were the police. I came screaming for help, and when they saw me, one of them asked me if my name was Adam. Apparently, these cops were surrounding the area, looking for me. I told the police everything, and they called for reinforcements and went to the cannibal's house, but they didn't find me in the house. They were probably hiding in the woods when the moment they saw the police saw me. On the other hand, everything I told you proved to be true, since they found the corpses of the previous victims and managed to identify the real killers. To be honest, I don't know how the case ended. After giving my testimony, to be honest, I don't know how the case ended. After giving my testimony, I decided to stay away from the trial altogether. I know for sure they both received life sentences, but I really didn't want to know anything else about what happened. I didn't want to remember at all what I experienced that night. That was the last nightlife I ever took. It may have been a few years ago. I still dream of that horrible movie. When I wake up, I see the eyes of both psychopaths in mine. It's as if they never left me, as if they live inside me, refusing to let me go on with my life, and mocking me as I ate. Since the lockdown, there's been a drastic shift in the work culture all around the world. People are opting to work from home or work from anywhere options rather than going into the office 5 days a week. Around that time, a lot of YouTubers popped up documenting their van life experiences, and a community of van lifers was created. Luckily, my wife Lisa was one of the first people to choose van living over traditional homes. We rented our current house, bought a spacious van, and started our journey on the road. To say we didn't know the ins and outs of van living would be an understatement. Believe me, from the few initial YouTubers, learned the basics like showering, storage, cooking, and laundry. But beyond that, learned as we traveled. We had no kids, so that wasn't an issue, and we could do our jobs completely remote, so money wasn't a problem either. Usually, we drove most of the day. Around 4 in the evening, we found ourselves a good parking spot to set up a camp and called it a van. We worked from our van and took turns driving. It was like a long road trip, but that doesn't mean we didn't face challenges on our way. Today, I'm about to share the scariest incident that happened to us. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was brightly sunny, and it was Lisa's turn to drive, so I was sitting in the back doing my work. We cooked a quick lunch and we were on our way. Around sunset, we found ourselves in a dense forest-covered freeway. Although it was a freeway, the road was narrow, and hardly any vehicles were passing us. Lisa suggested that we find a good spot and park there for the night. I wasn't quite sure as where we lived in Norfolk. The sun was about to set, and we had a strict no driving in the dark policy. Eventually, we found a small building by the road and parked there. Lisa started preparing our dinner while I set up camp outside. Although our van is more of a minivan and it was pretty self-sufficient, we both prefer to spend some time outdoors after we park for the night. As I was setting the camp, the sun had already set and it was pretty dark by then. I had a small battery-powered lamp and a head torch. I began my work, and by then I was pretty good at setting my camp. Then suddenly, I heard some kind of rustling in the bushes on a tree line, just a few yards away from me. It's normal for wild animals to be in such places, so I became cautious, but continued my work. I heard the rustling again after a few minutes, and this time it was much closer. At that point, I went inside and told Lisa about the rustling noises, and grabbed a small video camera we used to document our travels. I held it in one hand and continued setting up camp. That's when I heard it for the first time. The piercing scream of a woman coming from deep within the woods. I freaked as never before had I heard a screech that disturbing. I stilled and tried to search the area in front of me, only to hear the rustling sound one more time, followed by the loud scream of the woman once again. And then there were loud footsteps coming from the woods in our direction. I left all the camp gear behind, hopped into the van, shut the door, and locked it behind me. Lisa was a bit confused as she hadn't heard of me, but as I was about to explain, we saw someone peep into our van through the slits in the curtain. I dropped to the floor and stayed there for a while. We heard someone walk around our van a few times, and then the culprit finally pounded on our front door. Lisa was terrified, so was I. We had come across some sketchy people throughout our road trips, but nothing of this sort again. We had a small gun, but it was unaccessible at that moment. We just lay on the floor, hoping whoever it was would go away. But much to our disappointment, we heard the alarm set below our van door, meaning this person or animal was below our van, and was trying to get to the trap door which was below it. The next thing we knew, another alarm set for our safety had gone off. By then, we had no clue where the attacker was. All we could hear were the two loud beatings of the alarms. Lisa was clinging to my side, trembling and terrified. The alarms were still beeping after some time, everything silent. The alarms had stopped beeping. We heard their screams, rustling, and their footsteps. I slowly stood up and looked outside the window. Everything was pitch black and quiet outside.
Why the next day I could only so crazy and that's what it was doing. This year's vacation out here, so last year's vacation. I second hand clothes that are cheaper than cheap. So it's all the clothes that this is like the last something I'm doing. I think that I'm going to do. So, welcome to the
I slowly opened the door, gathered all the camping gear I left outside, and got my dinner. Then Lisa and I drove away from that house, not caring for our rules anymore. The GPS showed a small tow a few miles ahead, and by midnight, we arrived. We parked our van in a local grocery store parking lot, and decided to grab something to eat first, to get a chance to drive down. When the local driver was hardly anyone except us, we sat there still for a few moments, just looking at each other, still recovering and listening. That's when an old man dressed in a waiter's uniform walked up to us with a look on the head. Like the city folk doing here in our little town, this God reality. I was the first one to talk because Lisa was still speechless. I decided to act casual because I'm open. We were just passing by and decided to make a pit stop in the lovely town. Could we both get 2 cheeseburgers and fries, please? We'd also like one chocolate milkshake and 2 straws. But instead of moving our room, he kept on staring at us. By any chance, did you folks travel through the Western Creek? Yes, we did. But why do you ask? Your lady seems like she's seen ghosts. Did anything happen to you while traveling on that road? The old man's questions were a little intrusive. Something concerning his face. So I finally told him everything I experienced. He listened to us patiently, all while shooting word glances at Lucy. You did this. You took your girl and left her in the place. No people of this town drive around here at sunset, as there's a legend associated with that forest. This is a story my grandma told me. Back in the day, there lived a witch in that forest. With her magic, she captured a villager and turned him into a child-eating monster. Since then, whenever people travel on that road at night, the monster used to kill the traveling people and take the kids back to the witch and strangle them on his body. As years passed, the attacks reduced, but people driving on that road at night experienced weird pains and heard cries of women begging for their lives to be accused. Now, I know you're educated folks and think this is nothing more than a nighttime story, but sometimes it's better to believe in things like I'll get your order first. Don't bother with the past. It's all the past. Your kids have had enough already. Then we walked away. And we had our food and slept in our bed. The next day, we drove out of that town and came back home, ending our road trip once and for all. We valued our life more than the adventure and thrill of the way. But you know what the worst part was? When we got home, and I reviewed the footage from that night, I saw an ugly black face peeking from behind one of the trees. That monster was still there.
My name is Tim, and this is a story about how a fast food restaurant I barely went to really ended my life in just one visit. One night, about 4 months ago, my girlfriend, Monica, had been out with some friends until around 11 p.m. On our drive, we both talked about how we were extremely hungry and would like to find something to eat. Not long after, we found a Wendy's close by, and although I had only been to Wendy's a few times, we parked and walked in to get some food. Now at the time, there was no one else in the restaurant, except one single employee who was working there. The employee was a middle-aged man with a beard. He looked extremely skinny for his age, and his eyes were glassy and looked like he had been on some sort of drug. After we walked in, my girlfriend decided she was going to use the restaurant, leaving me alone to order. As I ordered our food, something about the man seemed frightened. He uncomfortably held eye contact, and not once did he say a single word. I figured I was just being paranoid, as strangers always seem to treat me that night. About 15 minutes passed, and I began to worry as my girlfriend still hadn't come back from the toilet. So I decided to go check to see if she was okay. I knocked on the door, but there was no response from my door. I was about to go in, when I noticed flashing lights coming from the apartment at the door, and not long after, Monica walked out, pale-faced, with dead eyes. "Hey, it took you so long. Are you okay?" I said. Monica simply walked past me and got to where our food was. I immediately followed her and stood in front of her to make sure she was fine. Monica still didn't respond to me. She simply looked over at the man, and they both shared a really strange look, as if they had an understanding of sorts. That's when Monica suddenly grabbed a knife from across the counter and swung it at me, cutting my chest. I was completely shocked and in pain as I let out a loud scream. Monica then began to swing the knife frantically at me, cutting me on my arm. I eventually managed to grab her arm and get the knife out of her hand before he hit on the floor and said, "What are you doing?" We idiots seemed to snap her out of whatever trance she was in, and before I could even begin to contemplate what had just happened, the Wendy's employee quickly ran to the bathroom out of the store. After talking with Monica and explaining what had happened, Monica informed me she couldn't remember even walking out of the toilet and decided to live in the toilet. We walked in to check what was in there, and I discovered the source of the flashing lights I had seen earlier was an old box TV that had a weird video on it. The video displayed different random shapes, colors, and images. We quickly called the police, and in a few minutes, they arrived. The head officer in charge was shocked by our story. He explained that in the first place, that particular piece was supposed to be closed throughout the week. the humanity I described and not having prior witness that might lead you to. He also explained some form of hypnosis had been used on mine, but until they took the time to look deeper into that, there was nothing much they could do. We drove back there that night, worried about the strange man following us. Ever since we got there, neither my girlfriend nor I went to another woman's fast food restaurant, and quite frankly, we never did. It may seem obvious to say, but it's not easy to use a level. At that moment, everyone thinks they understand that they have the right words to say, or that they just pretend that nothing happened to them. I lost a loved one more than 5 years ago. At first, everyone was there for me as well. But as time went by, I started to get strange things. None of them told me directly, but they all wondered how after all this time, I still couldn't stop thinking about Angela, my ex-girlfriend. I understand why they think this 5 years is a long time. What they don't know is that the reason I'm not over Angela is because she listens to me. And to be honest with you, her intentions are never good. I'll be honest, my relationship with Angela was never very good. We had our first year of love, as all couples do, but it quickly evolved into what I just on the one hand, I loved her. She was my partner, and I had this strange feeling that there would be no life after her, as happens to everyone with their first partner. On the other hand, being with Angela was really very difficult. She was very jealous and possessive. Even at the end of the relationship, she was very violent. I never got angry with her because I knew she had depression, and I did everything I could to get her to seek professional help. But there was no case. She was in total denial. All this kept escalating until one day. Well, let's say she decided not to be with us anymore. Accept it. When I sent the message, accept the name Angela Thompson. And it said she was. What? This must be a mistake. Instantly, the indicator that the lady had me down there. The message goes on. I don't know how to explain what I felt in that moment. My body rose with a horrible feeling of sadness and confusion invaded my whole body. This could not be real. There was no way it could be real. I closed the chat window, but suddenly it opened up again. It's a new message. Who are you talking to? Was she the one who told you to delete me? Desperate.